chit chat. We were doing that already.
We live. all the stuff we said before, say it again.
Oh, okay. Exactly the way. Okay.
Get the
That was
script.
rehearsal. Right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still need to turn you up. Hold it.
Wow. Oh my god.
Stop mumbling, Shar. Jeez.
What?
Talk
what do you
louder.
Want from me? I'm drinking my tea.
I need the mic close to them lips, all right?
How close do you want me to get it, right? How
Hey,
close
there,
do you want me to get?
there you go, there you go. I like it.
I'm not putting it in my face.
I like
I'm not
it.
putting it in my face. No.
So we live, right? We good? What's up, chat? Tweet this out, like the video, all that good stuff. Yeah. Let's get it going.
Not the bad stuff. Don't get it twisted, y'all.
What do you mean, the bad stuff? What are you talking about?
I don't know. All that good stuff. I'm like, what's the bad stuff? Don't do that.
Your mic being low to start? I mean...
You know what? I fucking done with you.
Hope everybody's doing good. I see you guys. See Merc, Dave, Unforgiven. Shout out to Dave for our temp background. Shout out to Dave. Appreciate you. We got Spencer in here, Hannibal, the Dina Stan. I see you. Wick, I see you.
Erica, this is a podcast. No one knows what we're talking about.
What you mean? Oh, because I'm saying hi to the chat. I can't say hi to the chat.
Fine, you can say hi to chat. Call out people like the other listeners know who they are, man. Come on.
Hey, you know, over time the same names pop up, and then the listeners like, oh, that person's back. Okay, maybe it makes them want to join the live chat. You know, gotta build relationships. That's why we're here.
Dave also said Shar is too low.
Wow, I'm still low.
Yeah, see,
Wait,
let me
Let
see.
me check my settings. Maybe something changed on
Well,
my end.
well, I know Beggy said you sounded fine, so I'll turn you up in Discord. How do I sound? I'm good? We good? I know Beggy's good. I know that.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay. My opinions aren't important anyways. It's fine.
I'm turning you... I don't know. I feel like I turn you up and you still sound the same, which is weird. That's a Discord thing. So, let me know if that's any better. The music's gone, so that should help. But yeah, we're here, you guys. The Backlog episode 37? Oh, I think it should be 38, actually. I effed that up. Yeah, I effed that up. All right, my bad.
Episode
38. We've done so many. I'm starting to lose track. Sheesh. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here with Shar. Shar, I've missed you.
You missed me?
I actually did miss you. Yeah, it's crazy.
Missed me though. I'm just a DM away, man.
Who would have thought? But how are you doing? How's it going?
You know, I'm living the life. Gaming a lot. We're gonna talk about it, but yeah, I think I've already beat you.
What do you mean? You know, this far in the year? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm ahead, man. That's all I have to say. I'm ahead on the beaten games already. I don't know if we haven't talked about it yet.
Well, since I haven't actually, I've beaten one game.
One game. Okay.
One game, yeah, and I'm close to a second because I've been going in on that Spirit Fair. I'm there. I'm like maybe a couple hours. I have no idea actually when that game's over, but I'm pretty deep, so that's coming.
Deep.
It's coming, yeah.
Like as deep as I am in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, deeper I'd say.
Ooh,
deeper.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a special guest, a returning guest today.
Yay!
Beggybeggbeggs,
how are you? How's it going?
Pretty good. I've been eating a lot of food lately. Today was no exception. I ate a lot of stuff. But anyway, I haven't been playing a whole lot of games really. So both of you are beating me right now because I've beaten 0 games this year. It's only 23 days in the year, but still, like, I have not really been investing much energy into new titles at all, or just even titles that are new to me. Been much focused on a lot of other projects. So usually when I do get time, it's like not directed toward games, but I'm slowly starting to get back to games that I would have wanted to clear out very gradually.
Yes.
Hey, that's what the backlog's all about, though.
I was about to say, I mean, you're in the right place because the backlog is what we're all about. But yeah, you've been super busy. You want to let everyone know what you've been up to? Because since the last time you've been here, when was that? Maybe a year ago? Almost?
Something like that. It was sometime, maybe like Mayish, June time, but it definitely wasn't like a full year.
Yeah, it's coming up. But yeah, let everyone know what you've been up to because you've definitely been busy.
I've been doing a couple of side projects on top of creating content for 2 channels each month. Typically, I try to do 1 piece for each channel every month or 3 total videos on each, or like total over the course of the 2 channels every 2 months. And that's kept me fairly busy because there's just so much news coming out on RE Village as well as stuff that I want to cover on my own end that usually comes to my channel. But we're starting to do more of these kind of polls on Residents of Evil of what people want to see in terms of Resident Evil lore, any types of horror videos, and engaging with the community more. And it's been really fun. And then on top of those commitments of just like videos for those 2 channels, there's a couple of other projects that I've been involved in. I won't talk a whole lot about them, but they're both like writing based.
Nice.
Also.
Yeah, I check out your videos from time to time and like the work you put in. I mean, it's right there. You could see all the work you're putting in. And I got to ask you though, like these videos you do, like the research you do, like how long does it typically take you to do like one video? Like a deep dive into like the lore type videos. Like does it take you like weeks? Like how long does it usually take you?
It really depends. It depends on how well versed I am on the topic already, because typically I'm going to spend a few days with the content itself, the research itself, wherever that is. Usually it's something based on a book or a novel or a file or something. Lately, they've been very focused on the Resident Evil novels. And those are the SD period novels, as well as some other unofficial ones that were written in Japanese. So depending on what type of work it is and how well-versed I already am in that subject matter, it'll take shorter time. But if it's something completely new, for example, I've been working on this Animusha analysis video, and that one has actually taken a lot of just new avenues into figuring out all of this information I need to make the connections I want to make, really visualizing everything I want my editor to do. And so that process of kind of mapping all that stuff out will take like maybe a week on its own, and then writing it will take a few days on top of that. But then after the research and the writing of the script is done, typically after that, I will do voice, and then I'll do editor notes, which is basically I use Google Docs to comment on lines that I would want some visual element to appear when something happens. So basically, there's all of these Google Docs that I have that have a ton of comments on them for the editor, and she goes through and she basically implements it the best that she can visualize to what I'm trying to convey to the audience. And then afterwards, if there's anything else that I want when she's finished, she'll send it in, we'll do revisions, and then that'll be the final draft.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome to have like an editor, and that's a lot of work. That's cool. I wish I had an editor. YouTube would be mad easy.
We all do. Okay, we all do.
Hey, Shar, are you looking for a job? What's up?
Oh my god! I mean, I barely edit videos for my own channel.
Yeah, I was super curious about that because like the visuals that you have on your videos are, I just like I'm bewildered. Like where did they get these this visual from? Because it's like this old school looking stuff sometimes, or like a lore type of footage, and it's like that's really awesome. So now I get it now. I see you got an editor, and then she goes by what you're saying and what you want on it. That's really cool. That's a good process, I think.
Yeah, I definitely have been pretty picky in terms of who I want to add in my videos. I've been through a few different editors initially for my older style of content, which is like, by the way, completely not at all what I do right now. It was like me eating food and stuff. It was just completely unrelated. It was like a lot of experiments, reaction videos, stuff like that. stuff that I would not really ever be interested in really going back to. But at the time, it taught me that only specific editors will be technical enough to do what I want them to do. And I'm looking for only those. And so I would go through like a few before I found the guy that did most of the work that is existing on both Residents of Evil and my personal channel. And his name is Tylenol Addict. And it's crazy because when you search for an editor on YouTube, there's these different communities, discords, people that know other editors, and they kind of they really network well with each other. And so this guy actually had so many clients, and he was so kind of backed up with work. He's very busy, and what I was giving him was so dense, and it took so long that he actually opted to focus on the other creators that he was working with. But at the same time, he has such a good network that he was immediately able to point me towards this new editor, and she's been phenomenal so far. So in that whole like network of editors, there's always someone who is technical enough, it seems, to fit your needs. That will do it for the price. But not everyone has the time. That's the thing.
Got you. It's like a time thing if they're open for it, and you kind of have to like match your time with theirs, so that makes sense. Wow. I've always been curious. I always wanted to ask you. I was like, I'll save that for on air, like, because it's just I mean, I watch the videos. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of work. Like, I honestly thought you were doing it, all of it.
No, I am not technically sufficient enough to do any of that kind of stuff. I have like the basics down of editing. I could put together what I want. It won't look very pretty. It won't look it won't transition well into other scenes. The effects on screen that are like kind of added in post will not like be good looking. They'll look kind of obnoxious, and they'll look like they're done by an amateur, because they are. So, and I have done like some of my videos in that style before to see how they would turn out. And what it comes down to is that in the interest of saving time and producing a better product all the same, and wanting to just like I'd rather pay someone to do a better job, and I'd also rather pay them to do it faster than I can do it. So I feel like that's just the best work for me, because I know a lot of video essay, horror, and Resident Evil creators are good enough to edit their own videos, and they do come out like pretty polished. They look nice. And I just felt like it was kind of necessary for that type of content. Some editors like to do daily content for people that's very short, very simple. And other people like to do very long kind of focused projects that are very comprehensive and very thorough. And they'll come maybe once or twice a month, a lot less frequently. And that's kind of like what I've aimed to do.
Yeah.
It's very kind of like irregular content. It's fairly consistent, but it's still like there's just so much work and some unknowns when you're doing it that you have to figure out, and that can delay the process.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I mean, it's quality over quantity, but like you said, it's somewhat consistent, maybe once a month or something like that. And that sometimes is better, because you're putting out something that's super meaningful and reaches a big audience, compared to a bunch of little videos here and there that maybe, you know what I mean? They're kind of like not focused, or they're kind of everywhere, which I think some of us do. Like, I've made that mistake, and I've always thought to myself too, like, I wish I was like that. Like, I wish I could just do that one big video and like be good for the whole month. But it's a lot of work. It's such a lot of work.
Yeah. It really depends what type of I was watching a really good video the other day on shout outs to Healthy Gamer GG. He has like a really good channel for just various different kinds of meditation and motivational learning. And he was talking about 3 different types of motivation. And I feel like certain types of people will be fit for, a certain type of content that they'll do regularly. Other people will be fit for a different type of content, depending on if their motivation comes in spurts of like every day. Some people have cycling motivation. So some people like to do just naturally how their body and their mind works. They like to maybe play a game, read a book or something for a while, and they won't feel like working on a video. But then suddenly at 11 p.m. for me, I'll get that burst like, okay, now like all the ideas are coming. I'm going to get like this is the time. And I feel like learning that about myself made me realize I'm not going to want to do this shorter content that is like kind of more frequent. Like, I'm really not ever going to want to do that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I need to
It's more rewarding to finish a big project than it is like smaller ones sometimes too. I mean, I flip flop back and forth, but yeah, I was just looking at your channel and there's like, they're like 30-minute videos. It's like that's a lot. That's a lot, but it must have felt
Yeah,
so good to like finish that. You know what I mean?
it does. Like while I'm doing it, it's definitely like to put into perspective, it's just all of the different phases of working through a bigger video kind
Mm-hmm.
of make you really appreciate when it's up and people are able to see it and you just want them to feel the emotions that you did when you were visualizing it. Um, and if you do, that's basically like you hit your goal because you want someone to feel that way that you did.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, especially if the reception's really good after working that long and it's the one video of the month that and you're done. You're like, oh, I'm done. And then when people respond to it the way they do, and they have been for your videos, it must be feel like so satisfying, I would think.
It definitely is, yeah. It's really exciting to see all the different layers that seem to extend like almost infinitely after from any real fandom, any community. Resident Evil in particular, I understand just how many layers it has. People that join this community from the more actiony titles, people that are veterans that are watching it and they're older and they're kind of more purists of the franchise. Um, and it's just it's very different to see all of these different dynamics of gamers coming into one community and offering their ideas. And then there'll also be people that are just all over the place, but they're very interested in the lore and the esoteric knowledge. And I feel like appealing to those people kind of attracted them and have met more through the process. And they've been really helpful to me too.
That's
They'll
awesome.
point out things that I just don't understand are relevant. Um, and that's actually what kickstarted a few of the first videos on my channel regarding Village. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the people that I've found through it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you're part of this community now. So how did that go about with Residents of Evil? Like did your content get you in there or did you know somebody maybe who kind of like got you hooked up with that or how did that go down?
There was a series of stuff that I had completed with a couple girls I met online really early on, and they're still like really good friends and contributors, and they were specifically interested in very esoteric knowledge, original Japanese file translations of like a couple specific Resident Evil games, not even ones that were very popular, like Revelations 2, for example. We started putting out videos on those. Um, and one of them, her name is Kat. She was the one that I found first. She just DM'd me on Instagram and she was saying like, what do you think about this new stuff that's going on in the trailer? Are you going to do more stuff on this? I know you have some ideas about Dracula and his relevance. And so that actually her conversation with me actually resulted in the video that was found by someone who is very close to the Residents of Evil. He's actually one of their viewers. So he found that video, he thought it was interesting, and then he showed it to them. And then JJ, founder of ROE, started talking to me like from there, basically for that video because he was so interested in it. Is basically how it went down. He like messaged me on Twitter.
Wow, that's cool. That's awesome.
Nice.
But
I need to do something like that. I don't know what community, but somebody maybe shoot.
Are you not? You wouldn't say you're in the Gears of War community? No.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Or like the Souls like type community. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool though. Like that's so cool. What about you, Shar? What would be yours?
I am in a community. I just don't make videos on it. The one that I'm probably most involved in is probably the Legend of Dragoon community. It's very
Okay.
small, very niche, and I do a lot of like translation stuff for them. So
Oh, that's cool.
I do stuff like that on the side. Yeah, no one knows about it. Like
I know you never told me. That's the first I'm hearing about it.
I keep it under wraps for no apparent reason. I don't know. I just like on the side. I like right now. I am transcribing the Japanese light novel, and I'm also translating the scanned pages of the Japanese guide. And I'm doing a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff and that I don't know about.
a lot of stuff you don't know about and will never get recognized because that game is super old. And yeah, this is giving me ideas though.
Yeah.
This is giving me ideas.
Wait, Char, what game is that for?
Legend of Dragoon. Nobody cares.
Wow, okay.
Nobody cares. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's like
niche.
one of my favorite fucking games ever. But yeah, no, there's a lot of like content that still needs to be. Oh well. Anyways, there's a lot of content that needs to be archived because it's an older game. So I just want to help and contribute to archiving the stuff that's not either translated or like not out there on the internet quite yet. But that's it.
Yeah. I just give. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of translations and scans and kind of original Japanese archive stuff, that's exactly what these girls that I was talking about, what Kat was into. She was actually, her and for other friends from the fandom, actually, these are why these communities stay so strong in places that you wouldn't expect. It's because they create Tumblr blogs based around the legacy of some character. They also throw in bits of esoteric knowledge from the translations and the scans, and they try to make it a whole experience. And she actually found a lot of this information on Tumblr. That's one of the things that was a driving force in keeping that game really relevant and strong. And there's a lot of people like her that are super invested in very particular storylines that must have the Japanese translations because they understand how much it's different from the English localizations.
Yeah, there's that. You guys probably have a lot more content to work with though, because like Legend of Dragoon was one game and it was like 2000,
That's
and
true.
like there's not a lot there. But like there is some really cool stuff from the guy that I've translated that like we didn't know about. And it gets a little weird because I mean Japanese is just weird like that. But yeah, no, and then there's like way more stuff than I thought there was. Like I don't know if you felt this when you were getting into it, but this is like the novel. Like I didn't know there was a light novel for Legend of Dragoon. Did y'all know that? Because there is, and it's right here on my desk, and I have it in my hands, and it's in Japanese, and it's literally like 140 pages, and that's it. There's also a manga. Like there's all these like little like things that you don't know about until you like talk to
Yes,
somebody
that's
about
so
it.
true.
Like did you know about the novels before you got into the
Yes, actually, what I didn't know about, in terms of, well, because I've heard of Legend of Dragoon before also, and how it's like a very beloved kind of lost gem in time,
It
and
is.
how like it needs to have some kind of resurgence. I feel that way about other franchises, namely Onimusha and Dino Crisis. But
True.
yeah.
Yeah, I think what it is, as I'm listening to you two talk about it, it's like I think I'm too much on the surface. I just play games. I complain when I die, like on Gears or something like that. But as far as the lore,
you're good. You're not hard nerd about anything out here.
I think I need to be more nerd. Maybe that's my problem. Yeah, I need to read more. I actually just started reading one of Gears of War book. I actually started reading The Slab, if anybody knows about that book. So
I need a video.
I'm starting to, maybe this is the beginning of me nerding a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but that's super interesting. Huh?
That's what we need. We need lore drops from Gears of War. Erica.
Oh
we need lore
man,
videos.
you're about to see some lore videos. Like, let's dive into the story of Carmine and the Carmine family. And with that smooth ASMR type voice, you get a lot of comments about that, right, Beggy? About your voice?
Yeah, I get all sorts of. Some of them are like really super funny. Like some of them on Resident Evil, I'll look through the comments and be like, "Oh, voicemail lady is back," and other ones would be like,
Wow.
like the other one was like, I forget what it's called. It was something super funny, but it was something similar to that, and it was like an AI or something. Like someone was asking if this was like Google or Siri or something.
Oh, wow.
Another person's like, "I'm about to fall asleep. This is perfect." Like just typical ASMR kind of comments.
I mean, that's good though, right? Like you don't want to come off abrasive when you're doing commentary or anything.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like I definitely, I'm fine with all those.
Especially those types of videos like with lore and
Yeah.
story. It's like story time. Like, let me tell you a story. And it's very chill. It's very relaxing. And ASMR in general, you get comments like, hey, you're putting me to sleep. That's a compliment. That's a super compliment. So that's cool. Because sometimes I get comments like that, like, Erica, your voice is so, I like your voice and stuff like that. But and the occasional, you should do ASMR. And it's like, I don't think I could do it, but like, I love listening to it. And I do find your videos, they are relaxing. And I think that that's awesome. Like, you could really tap into that along the way as you're doing something you love. Like, dude, you're going even further, deeper into like the communities. Like, maybe they'll just watch you for that. But hey, it works out for you,
True. Yeah.
That's cool.
Everyone has their own reason for checking out this type of obscure content. It's almost like it's kind of like a cult following around a game that you'll only draw if you really target that audience. Kind of like if Shar was to do videos on Legend of the Dragoon and its light novel and its lore, then like you'd be surprised. Like there are people out there that will find that and they'll be like, what the hell? Like someone is actually taking interest in this and they're very passionate about it, And that's what I felt. I'd found a big kind of just hidden community, but not like just hidden in the sense that people don't really talk about the books much at all. Like ever, I realized, like almost for most franchises, I realized Dead Space has some attention on its novels. They're pretty solid. And I just started reading like one of them, and I realized like there's other series that have this kind of lore following, but I feel like when you create videos for a novel, and it could be Legend of the Dragoon, it could be like some other like Japanese scan or like any type of game novel, it is very unique content because it is something that people, if they are interested in reading that book medium, then they'll see a video about it and they'll be interested. But then on the other hand, it's even better for you is that people that would never ever read a book, they just don't like reading, they're going to want to watch your video, and from there they may even want to read the book. But the point is that they wouldn't read a book because they're not a reader type of person. So if you present something very well in a video medium, you could show them this information that they wouldn't otherwise see ever, just because they are blocked by the medium itself. It's their preference. So it's like if they're not a reader, they're not going to read it, but they'll listen to you. So
I like that. That's an awesome way of seeing it. Because I'm not much the reader. Everyone knows that. I don't really read. So that makes sense. Like that's for me. Your content is for me. For real. That's crazy. That's awesome.
You found another viewer. Yay!
I mean, I've been viewing. But let me get to these super chats. Luca was up in here. Just said mother with the side eye. Daughter. Shout out to Luca. Brap said, hey everyone. The super chat. What's up, Brap? Appreciate you. Dave. Super Metal Dave says, Beggy is an example of starting from a couple hundred subs, finding a niche, and due to talent and dedication broke the YouTube algorithm, getting noticed. Getting noticed by a mainstream Resident Evil channel. Inspirational. Yeah, that's definitely true. I remember when you were on here the first time. How many subs do you think you had at that time? Maybe like 500? Or am I off?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe even less. Something like that.
Maybe like like 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah, and look at it now. Like, it's crazy. That's awesome. Wick John says, not sure why it's $4.99 and not $5, but yeah, first time listener, Beggy fan, and now a fan of the pod. Love you all. Love you, Beggy. Oh wow, thank you. Appreciate that. Do you know him? You recognize them?
Yeah, he's been in chats. Canoic Druid also. I like doubled the end of the vowel sound of his name. It's Canuck Druid. He actually seen him on Twitter and in other chats. But yeah, nice to see you guys here.
Awesome. And then Glinser, shout out to Glinser, has a question for, I guess Shar probably answered this one the best. Best RPG console of all time, PS1 or Super Nintendo?
PS1, no contest. I said in chat, but I'll say it again because PS1, no contest.
Beggy, you got an opinion on this or not?
I don't really play a lot of RPGs anyway, but I do like certain titles on PlayStation. But yeah, I don't really have a frame of reference because I don't play stuff on the other consoles. So
Gotcha. Yeah, these are the old school, Super Nintendo. I mean, I was heavy on Super Nintendo, but it was not for the RPGs. Yeah, that's not my specialty here. That's Char's. That's all Char. It's all Char right there. Thank you guys for those super chats. Yeah, shoot. Anything else you want to mention, maybe, Becky, about this whole experience that you've been going through? Like, because it's been awesome seeing you grow from the outside. Like, because I obviously follow you on Twitter, follow you on YouTube, and like I said, when you were first on this show, it was like 200 subs maybe, and now you just grow and you got this whole community now. You got you're being highlighted. You're on podcasts. Like, it's been really cool to see.
It's been a really interesting journey. I guess the other thing I would say is that like the team has been really good with like helping me in terms of onboarding to like podcast discussions, any other types of events that we're doing. I do really really love the lifestyle of having to kind of plan ahead, really set a schedule, and do focused content here and there, but not necessarily doing like consistent streaming or anything. I don't feel like streaming is even my thing, and I don't really feel like I'm built for it very well. But I do like doing it occasionally for events, for live showcases. Like on Thursday, that was really fun. Certain gameplay, if we're doing like a charity stream, like Toys for Tots. But like I really think that a big part of loving to create content and keeping something more sustainable and organic is finding that like a cycle of different processes that you go to get some content released, instead of having kind of more sporadic releases of content. If you find that discipline there and you understand that there's a want for this type of content and people really want to see it and you make it seem interesting, then I feel like that has been very healthy for me, as opposed to regularly streaming or doing anything else. And that's just my input.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I often think about that, with YouTube and stuff. It's like, yeah, when it's more focused, it's around one community, and they're going to obviously, if they come to you for one video, they want more of that video, and that's their interest, right? So if you're all over the place, which I've done many times, it can be tough to grow that way, because maybe you're throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks, or you're kind of finding your niche. And I do feel like I kind of found some of that, but I'm more of the streamer. I think streaming is great for me, but I did notice, yeah, you were streaming for a while, and then that kind of tapered off because you're doing, you found your focus in the the lore and the big time videos. So everyone's different, of course, but like it's cool to see all the different paths like we're taking, and I like that. I like that it's working for you. It's awesome.
I really love watching. Like I definitely still love watching streamers a lot. I just don't think that something about like my both schedule, motivation, and just like physical, like how demanding streaming can be. I really have like a lot of respect for people that consistently stream, and they go live multiple times a week. It's just very, for me, that's like one of the most demanding things ever. Like I could work on something for like hours and hours sometimes if I'm like really going, before that like motivation cycle that I was talking about, like that kind of ends up, or that like kind of dries up a bit, and then the next day I'll get some more. But in terms of doing streams and like consistently doing streams and interacting with people, I don't feel like that's the way that I would want to give value to the community, but it is the way that I love watching people give value to the community. So like I like watching streamers in terms of really whatever they're doing, as long as they're interesting. But in terms of doing it itself, like it's just something that I feel like it kind of wears on me if I do it like often.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I know, me and Char know.
Eating is also a challenge when you're a streamer. Like trying to find like normal meal times if you're streaming for hours.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Is nightmarish. It's just not something I would want to do.
I literally ate on stream yesterday because I was like, I need food. Like I'm gonna eat in front of you because I don't even care.
You wouldn't think it'd be an issue. Like I remember just thinking, I'll eat whenever. Like you
That's
know. But then you end up streaming 6 hours or something. You're like, oh shoot, I skipped dinner. Like remember we were talking before the show. I was telling you guys how I lost some weight because I was skipping dinners here and there, and it's because I was streaming. So yeah, it's a thing. it's a managing type thing, but yeah, I like it though. I love it, and it is hard though. That's for sure. It's not easy. But yeah, since we've been, dabbling into what you've been into, Beggy, so Resident Evil, right? We got the new trailer for Village. We got a demo. You want to tell us what you think about it? Because, like, I haven't been able to play the demo. As everyone knows, first-person games make me a little sick, a little queasy. But I do think it looks interesting. I think graphically it looks good. The tone of the game. It actually reminded me a little bit of Bloodborne. I don't know if you've followed Bloodborne at all, but like some of the enemies kind of give me that Bloodborne vibe. But that's just because Souls is constantly in my head. But what do you think about it? Like, how'd you take to the demo and the trailer? Like, are you feeling this? Are you hype? Like, how's the consensus going as far as your community and all that?
Yeah, I was basically expecting a continuation of all of the different elements that we've already seen in the trailers, seeing different inspirations taken from Bram Stoker's Dracula, which honestly, every single vampire adaptation of anything ever anywhere takes from that book because that's just how influential that book is. It's incredibly influential. There are a lot of moments in this demo and the trailer that are very clearly inspired by it. Like even these three girls right here, not the tall one that everyone's super thirsty over.
They're so
the
thirsty.
Other ones, yes, I know. But that was like the very typical kind of internet Twitter response to this woman, honestly. It was like the most expected kind of reaction or reception to this lady that you could ever expect. But anyway, everyone loves her. The other three, two of them are brunettes, one of them's blonde, just like the Dracula novel. They're taking a lot of different elements and they are doing them justice quite well. Capcom always likes to remix what they take from the inspirations into versions that are more fitting to exactly the type of horror that they're trying to go for with the game. So they'll take elements from certain monsters and kind of remix them a little bit to make them work as a bioweapon and try to explain them with science like Resident Evil always does. And I feel like they're getting very ambitious on that side. It's almost difficult to do because there are some aspects of these newer games, 7 and 8, namely, Village being 8, obviously, that actually have more overt supernatural elements rather than biologically or viral infection kind of based monsters. So it's definitely morphing, it's definitely evolving, but everything that they showed on Thursday was up to my expectations of how they want to incorporate all of these different elements into a Resident Evil game. It still felt incredibly Resident Evil, all the puzzles, the graphics, the way that the knight's armor, all of the lavish kind of scenery and assets, all of that is extremely Resident Evil. It almost made me feel like I was playing Code Veronica. That game has a lot of royalty and just beautiful kind of castles and mansions. And that's what Resident Evil has always been about. It's always been about gigantic buildings, solving the puzzles in them, probably moving to a laboratory, and then the laboratory will blow up in the end. And that's the type that scenario will fit like 80% of all the games in the series. I feel like they almost end every single entry with some giant self-destruct explosion because that's what the writers do. And people always love that, it's like it's super memey how the plot moves along sometimes. People come to love that silliness and that predictability. But this game is a little bit more like unchained on that end. Like it's very no one has a good hint, like a good hold on exactly the plot that will go down the way that it would. Everyone just has all sorts of different clues on what kind of monsters, what kind of inspirations they're drawing from. And they're doing it all very faithfully. This being set in Romania, having all of these influences from various different horror folklores, Dracula, everything. They basically they showed me what I expected to see, and they did it very well. And I thought they're also showing it at a very careful pace, and they're not revealing too much. Some people thought that the information on Thursday was lacking, but I thought it was like perfect, if not even just like a little bit too much of what they told us. But I really respect that. It's like it's almost like a skill for companies to release information at a very specific pace that they want to. That would be good for people to spark discussion and get really excited for a game. And I feel like Village is doing that very, very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it creates like speculation and, like you said, conversation about, ooh, what could this mean, or who is this person? How's that gonna go? And that's always cool because you don't want to see too much. I've seen trailers and games where they show too much, like pretty much the whole plot, and you're like, oh, I already seen this. You know what I mean? Like, when you play the game, you're like, oh, that would have been cool if that was a surprise, kind of thing. You
It's
know?
very true. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I was gonna say, because you did mention people were saying they didn't show enough, and I've noticed some people they are complaining about how it's not so like it's not so zombie. It's more, the vampires, and it's more that route. So yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you say to them? Do you think they just don't know enough and they're just casual? They don't really know what's going on, and maybe they shouldn't complain? Or how do you feel about those who are kind of like, this isn't enough Resident Evil, this is something else?
That's like a very good question. That's like a very relevant question because there's a huge group of, I guess you can call them purists that like really like the original three, that like the fixed camera angles. They like, and above anything else, like you mentioned, they love the biological kind of scientific aspect of it, kind of sci-fi horror of creating bioorganic weapons out of these strange experiments to be used. And they are weapons. They are like something that could be used in a setting of war or to kind of storm an entire city or take something over. And people are having a hard time dealing with the fact that whether or not they are biologically explained in especially 7 and 8, right? Because those are the games that really are divisive of everyone right now. 7 was the first game to introduce more supernatural elements to Resident Evil that no one had ever seen. And honestly, it was very much in need of those, in my opinion. This is a series that has dealt with these same monsters. They have innovated in games like, especially Resident Evil 4. 4 had plenty of unique monsters. 2 brought some new monsters. 2 had the Lickers. 3 brought Nemesis. They all have their own little additions that they bring along in terms of different evils. But in terms of 7 and 8, there's this overt, very deliberate focus. And we actually chatted with the voice actors for 7 and on Residents of Evil in our interviews. And we were discussing how they are very overtly directed to behave like they are possessed by a demon or under some kind of paranormal influence, you know? And that at its core, even presentation wise, even if not lore wise. So let's say all of these things are explained by bioorganic weapons and science and virology, which in 7 they are. They are at least attempted to, right? And most people buy what's going on. But the presentation is a completely different part of that. If you make something in a trailer look like a supernatural phenomena and you put vampires and werewolves in it and you kind of, like how you were saying before, it gave you Bloodborne vibes. If you change that entire arc of its presentation, that entire portion of how it's marketed, then people they respond sourly because they don't trust that those two ends will meet. They don't trust that trying to explain something supernatural with something biological and scientific is like, it's basically finding an excuse to implement some kind of supernatural or paranormal element in Resident Evil with keeping the title in the franchise, which is very much doable. 7 was a pretty successful game. It had some things that it experimented with that not everyone meshed with, first person camera, new character, very nondescript character that not a lot of people get invested in.
Right.
That is how they wrote the main character, Ethan, and he's the character in Village as well. So all of these different kind of mingling elements that are divisive of fans are kind of hitting them really fast at 7 and now at 8 too. So it's kind of it on one hand it is a departure from like that biological explanation of the monsters, but on the other hand you have to understand Resident Evil can't do what it was doing forever, It was getting a little bit stale with its monsters. It was having a lot of these same concepts appear in the remake, with a not very many new elements added. They definitely looked beautiful, and the remakes are awesome. But in terms of a new entry, there's not a whole lot you could do anymore with like purely physical horror. There should be some kind of psychological, paranormal side to it to elevate that, and that's what 7 and 8 really try to do. And I think that it's really a matter of keeping an open mind to see how those two ends, the supernatural and the biological, kind of meet each other and they explain each other. And so if people are patient enough to realize that, then and they want to play the game to find that out, then I think it's an experience that any veteran of Resident Evil could like very much enjoy. But obviously not everyone's gonna be open to that because they see it as something completely different. It's mutated, it's changed. The monsters don't look the same. The characters aren't the same really. They've got Chris in here, but people still haven't really gotten attached to Ethan and Mia. So it's kind of like there's divisive elements everywhere in these two games, in 7 and 8, and that is always going to be a part of the community that is kind of split, and they just don't like that whole facet of what it's changing into. They just don't like it. And I kind of just accepted that that's a thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm sure both of you probably seen before. Like, I feel like Resident Evil's been divisive like this whole time. Like, some people really love the first games and they hate 5 and 6, or they hate the new stuff. Like, I feel like any Resident Evil fan I like kind of talk to, they have their favorites, and then there's like a couple games they don't like.
I feel like. So it's like Final Fantasy fans.
Maybe, I guess, yeah.
It's like exactly like Final Fantasy fans.
Yeah.
Literally everybody has like 1 or 2 games. They're like, this is the best, this is my favorite. And then everybody shits on like at least 2 or 3 other ones. And then people out like the woodworks are like, but that's my favorite. It's literally that all the time.
Yeah, because they do evolve, and you have like you're saying, Beggy, you have these different enemies, and then you got the different, the camera angles, then it's first person and it's third person. So it's divisive. Some people don't like the first person, some people really do. And so, yeah, I mean, it seems like nothing new is what I'm trying to say. It's like this is just in line with the other Resident Evils of like creating division, sort of,
Yeah, that's fair to say. I would say it's like it's even a step higher than the others in creating division. I would say that like, because 4 and 5, right, were divisive as they were, because they changed the entire feel of the game from fixed camera angles to real time, over the shoulder, kind of combat, like third person shooter. Yeah. And that was divisive, but it wasn't divisive kind of in the same way that 7 and 8 were, because they also changed a million other things at the same time. So they kind of changed a lot of elements in one entry in 7. And another element that they changed is that there's not really cutscenes anymore to tell the story. There's really just you witness everything first person. All of the events and what's going on kind of happens in front of you. And I don't think that's an inadequate way to tell the story. Like maybe it'll work out, for certain games that could be really scary for events going on like that. There are some games that execute that very well. Devotion is one of them. So like those kind of games, they can work that way, but I don't think that it fit with Resident Evil the way that people like the storytelling of Resident Evil, kind of just having everything happen right in front of you as like a real-time, like non-cutscene. That felt off to me, and I still really liked 7. But it's still like, it looks like that is returning in Village, with not having as many of those kind of definite cutscenes. But yeah, we'll see what they do there. They definitely do look better though.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that, like the cutscene thing. Yeah, it's more so you're kind of going through it, and this story's being told probably in like just what you're doing kind of thing, I guess. And then
first person, which is like not that desirable in my eyes. It's like it's like not very fitting. That to me was maybe the most unattractive part of the entire game, Resident Evil 7, of telling cutscenes through this system of like, I am Ethan and my personality and my character are irrelevant. Nothing matters. It's just you're kind of like experiencing it through a vessel, Ethan, who is a character that no one really cares about, and the fact that you're making it first person makes us care about him even less. And the fact that both him and his wife kind of look like NPCs makes us care about it even less. So like people were really hit by that. I guess that was one thing that hit me too, is that not a lot of reasons to focus or care about Ethan and Mia. And then on top of that, you're making us see everything through them instead of played out as a story like Resident Evil would. So it's like all
Right.
of these different elements that people don't like are like converging in one game. And I think that's where the divisiveness comes from.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because, yeah, it's not just the first person, it's like all this other stuff. Like, when you really think about it, yeah. I could imagine like a game that I've played in third person for years and it's had a certain way about storytelling. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you got to like read like objects in first person to get lore and get the story or something like that. I'd be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. No cutscenes. I'm this random person. It's not Chris. It's not so and so. It's like some random dude that I don't care about. Yeah, I could see that being a little like jarring, a little bit.
Yeah, just a bunch of changes really fast that people aren't ready for. Not to mention, it's a bunch of changes that happened after a game that people really like to just poop on all the time, like Resident Evil 6. So
Yeah.
and so yeah, like following that up with something as divisive as 7 is like definitely interesting. But I think it needed to happen. Like 7 was definitely a important kind of needed change flaws, despite all the things that might be drawbacks about 7.
Got you. Yeah. Shar, are you playing Resident Evil 8 or no?
I will probably pass. I've never been really one for games, but I mean, I do enjoy do enjoy seeing what the Resident Evil people are coming up with. Usually, I mean, they're like, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the Resident Evil people actually, feel this way, but I feel like it's one of the more forefront like horror games. Does that make sense?
You just
you know what I mean?
In general,
Like
it's like
when I think of horror games, it's like Silent Hill and Resident Evil.
yeah, definitely,
That's like
yeah.
all I think of. So, I mean, yeah, it's always interesting seeing what they cook up. But even though if I'm not playing them necessarily.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. Like, it's one of those franchises. Like, you might not play them all the time, or like, play every single one. But you find interest in it because it's freaking Resident Evil. Like, it's like
Yeah.
iconic. It's one of the bigger franchises. It's like taking interest in, like, for someone who's not into Zelda or something. Oh, what are they doing with the new Zelda? It's kind of like you're interested because it's freaking Zelda. It's kind of like that, I guess. Yeah.
It's like that.
I'm the same way. Like, I played Resident Evil 2, the remake. I liked it. I liked that one a lot. And I played like the old the first Resident Evil. I had that remake on GameCube. Like, I've played them, but I've never been like hardcore. Like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. So,
Right.
But I'm still like curious. Like, even this. I mean, I was watching people play the demo, and I was watching the trailer reveal and all that. And I know I'm not even gonna play it. So yeah, it's definitely one of those franchises where it's like I'm interested just because of what it is. Yeah.
It has that weird alluring quality where it kind of invites people that don't even engage in the genre. It's like kind of weird that way. Like I recognize a lot of my friends. I don't have a lot of like personal like friends before engaging with Resident Evil community online that were really invested to Resident Evil. Some of them would like, most of them would like very different genres. They would like various shooters, fighters, all sorts of different types of games. But then all of them would try a Resident Evil game, even though they didn't really try a different horror game. Just because it seems like it's hit a new milestone in reaching the mainstream. For people that have never seen Resident Evil before, their first experience will be like 2 remake, 3 remake, 7, and it's a completely different experience, but it's still one that they really like, even as a first experience.
Yeah, that's true. We do have a super chat for you, actually, Beggy. Wick John again. Thank you so much, John. It says, Beggy, were you disappointed they didn't port the original RE games to current consoles? I remember you mentioning that as a possibility before.
Yeah, I actually did talk about that on the Residents of Evil podcast on a Thursday about how people, again, with what I was saying before, people will have their first experience with Resident Evil ever with like 2 remake, 3 remake, 7, and now a ton of people will try the first time through Village, and they will have no idea of where it started, how it looked, how it played, and that classic feel of Resident Evil game. So I was proposing that like maybe Capcom can port over those really original RE2 and RE3 on PlayStation 1, Dreamcast, that era. They can have that available somehow, maybe on Steam, that would be like, I feel like that'd be really easy to do because they already had versions for the PC of RE2 and RE3 original, but they were like kind of just really, I don't know, like mediocre. They weren't that good. They ran at like a weird speed and they didn't look that good. But that could be a really good way to teach people what the older games were like, and just to see if there is interest in that. Because when Capcom actually released Resident Evil Remake, like the GameCube version of the remake of 1 on Steam, they released that game and it did so incredibly well. It did phenomenally. And I wonder if they can kind of have that similar revival for the other ones, even though they don't look very good, because original 2 and 3 are pretty good looking games. Like they're better looking than the original 1 in the sense that 1 had to have a remake while 2 and 3 went for many years and now they finally got a 2 and 3 remake. But those original games that were like on PlayStation 1 for 1, 2, and 3, I feel like people would take a big interest in that, especially people that are into that kind of indie genre of finding like PlayStation 1 era kind of polygon horror games. That's its own little genre right now that people are finding interesting. There's games like Murder House. There's games that emulate kind of Silent Hill, Resident Evil energy. And people still love that classic survival horror. So I feel like they would do well if they did that.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, I wouldn't mind playing those again. Maybe if they ran real well and everything on PC, it'd be kind of cool. Tyler also had a question for you before we move on to something else. He says, Beggy, what are your thoughts on Resident Evil 0? Do you think they should remake it?
That one, like, I played that again recently when I was making the video on the Resident Evil 0 novel. And I think that game is absolutely beautiful. I think it's out of itself and remake. It kind of perfected the look that RE1 remake on GameCube was like kind of going for. And it was just so pretty. And I am not as bothered by the inventory system as other people. So like for reference, basically Resident Evil gives you this big box you put your items in. You can carry 6 or 8 of them at a time usually, and then other games allow you to carry more. But this game, RE0, you just drop everything on the floor, and if you want it back, you have to go back to that spot on the floor and take it back up. You know, there is no item box. So people are they see it as like a big detriment to the game experience. But I thought that was fine as long as you manage them well between, because you do have 2 characters in that game. You could switch your items between Billy and Rebecca. So I don't think it needs a remake, but given how if they did make a remake, one thing that I would really like them to do for RE0 is to tell us more of Marcus's story and lore, because without Marcus, there is no Resident Evil. He's the reason why there's a mansion filled with zombies. He's the reason why there's an outbreak period. Like he is Resident Evil. So and he didn't get a lot of people didn't take him seriously in 0. He was kind of singing like a Christ figure, like an angel. He has a lot of religious allusion that I think is super interesting. Capcom always flirts with like Christianity and biblical references and folklore, and sometimes they leave it very unexplained and very open. And I feel like his case is one of the worst cases of that. And I feel like his story could be told a lot better. And I feel like his acting, I feel like every part of him could be done like a little bit better. So that would be a solid candidate for a remake, I think.
Yeah, just maybe do him better, I guess. Do him justice.
Yeah, basically.
All right, that's cool. I feel like I learned a lot about freaking Resident Evil today.
Yeah. So much more than I thought I would when I walked into this.
For reals, like
it's a good thing though.
Yeah, it's interesting. For reals. But we did kind of skip over. We didn't even talk about the games we're playing, and I know Shar, you do have a game you want to talk about.
Do I? Oh, do I?
I mean,
do I?
Do you? I mean, because I just realized right now, like towards the tail end of like when we were talking about Resident Evil, like, oh yeah, Shar still needs to talk about your fixation.
Oh my god, it's not a fixation, man. It's not. I swear it's not. I'm playing it every day. It's fine. Yeah, well, no, we talked about it last time on the podcast. I'm still playing Animal Crossing, y'all.
Man,
I'm still on that shit. Let's go, dude.
Animal Crossing.
No, I have so many games. Oh my god, I'm playing so many things. I need to chill, honestly. Which actually, I think I said I was on when I was streaming yesterday. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna finish Hollow Knight. Actually,
You know, I was gonna ask you about Hollow Knight because every time
you're gonna ask me about it. Okay.
Yeah, because I've seen you stream it twice, and every time
Yeah.
like I come in at the tail end, and you're like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this right now. I'm switching games. I'm like, what
I can't do it,
happened?
man.
What happened?
What do you mean? What happened? It's just not my. It's not because. Okay, here's the thing.
It's too hard. Is it too hard, Char?
No, it's not because of the difficulty. It really isn't. Okay, I'm gonna say that right now. Like, it's fine. The difficulty is fine. All right. I don't know. It's something about like the way I see progress in games. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like the way I feel like I'm progressing through a game is not. It's not gratifying when I play like a Metroidvania. For me,
okay.
Some people it is.
That's
okay.
Okay.
So like when you're playing a Metroidvania, you get a new, you go around, you get new abilities, and then you can go to other areas. That's fine. That's cool. That's the way you progress in the game, and that's how you measure like your progress in the game. Is like, oh, that's like your level up, to use RPG terms, right?
Mhm.
So getting new abilities in the game is like the level up system, basically. And my brain doesn't like it. My brain is like, it's not. I like more instant gratification, if that makes sense. Like, I'm like, ooh, a level. Like, I know I'm getting stronger. That kind of stuff. And, like, going back through areas is fine, because I've done that in RPGs. But, like, I get lost so easily in Metroidvanias that it's, like, a different kind of frustration. And I'm a very patient person. Like, I can take it. But that kind of frustration is just, like, it's on a different level. I'm like, I hate not knowing where to go. I hate being lost in games. I hate it. So
yeah,
Metroidvanias are just not, and this is why I don't usually touch them. It's like I'm just now figuring out, and I can actually put this into now, because like before I was like, oh, I don't know why I don't like genre, but now I'm figuring out it's like, yeah, it's that like instant like level up system is not there for me, and it's like not jarring, but it's definitely not my. It's
just not for you. It's just not for you. That's just not your thing, I guess. And I get it. It makes sense. Because, like, with Metroidvanias, it's, yeah, you're not leveling up, but it's like, oh, I'm getting this new ability because there's this area I couldn't get to before, but now I can. I think that's where the gratification comes in. Like, for me, anyways, I could just speak for myself. Like, oh, there was that place I couldn't swim before, and now I could swim, so I'm going to go back over there and see what's up, So, with you, it's like, that's not enough, I guess. You want you want to see your character hit harder and like,
I want to see it grow faster than it, And then like, and the other thing with specifically Hollow Knight too is like, it's got that kind of Dark Souls kind of thing where it's like if you die, you lose your soul, and you have to go back to your and go get it. And then if you die twice, you lose all your soul. It's like that kind of system.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of frustrating for people who maybe like me, who are like, I don't want to trek through, like 10 minutes of a map to go get my body.
Yeah,
like I'm
just
done.
Gotcha.
So, and I see people in the chat are like talking about like the map system and the backtracking, and it sucks at guiding you. And maybe it's just Hollow Knight. I have no idea.
It does.
I really don't play.
It is tough. Like, that's why I think when I first got into your stream, I'm like, how many times have you been looking at the map? Because like I ask everybody that
a lot,
because I must have looked at that map a million times.
I look at the map constantly.
It's so easy to get lost in that game, and you're right. Like the direction, like sometimes you just don't know what to do. I think I got stuck twice in that game.
Oh no, I got to, I don't remember. I don't even remember what the name of it's called. The area with it's like rain or whatever. If you've played the game, you'll know. But the area with rain, and it like locks you in, and I was like, oh shit, did I make a mistake? But like I guess the game wouldn't lock you in if they knew you weren't ready, or like you got there. So like why? Like it felt weird. I was like, man, am I supposed to be here? Like I don't. What?
Yeah,
what is this?
that happens sometimes. You're like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. It just feels wrong, like not natural or something.
It's confusing. City of Tears, yeah, and it's like, it's confusing, and it's probably not the best Metroidvania I could have picked up as somebody who doesn't play Metroidvania games. So
probably not.
It is a nice game though. It's really visually pleasing and it's really like challenging in all the right ways. I've had a couple of problems with like the up attack and the down attack, but maybe that's just me not using like the D-pad or like, you know, not being used to that kind of like my muscle memory's not there or something. But that's pretty much all. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna keep playing it. Honestly, I'm kind of like at the point where I'm like, I want to give it another chance, but like I dreading even like booting up the game. So like maybe I should stop because at that point, well, not dreading it, but you know what I mean. Where it's like you're just not having fun with the game. It's like that's the point where you need to tell yourself.
Yeah, honestly, I feel that way about a lot of similar types of games. Yeah. I feel like very few titles that are in the style of Metroidvania or even the style of I feel like just a lot of stuff. I feel like I have a narrow range of games that really truly hold my attention for long at all.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, same here. I mean, it's not, and I'm like the resident like JRPG RPG person, but even then, it's like there are games I'm willing to play outside of that range, but they have to be very particular. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm actually not surprised. Sure, because like no, listen, hear me out. Like with Hollow Knight, I liked it, but there was like this kind of dread, for like lack of better word, because I did like it, but I felt like and I said this multiple times, like when I beat it or whatever, it was like they were the try hard Metroidvania. Like they took Metroidvania and what makes a Metroidvania, and they like got an A+ on the test. Like they just went hard on the Metroidvania to where it was like frustrating and like it was a tough game. That is not an easy game. It's not at all. Yeah. And you would see like the more if you kept playing, you would see like, man, it gets tough, like way tough.
And I like some people have told me that like the map system makes people rage quit. The map system is fine. I kind of like the idea of like you have to find the guy on the map to like get the map, but like that's an interesting like thing you have to think about obviously in the game, but like that compounded like the dying with the souls and then everything costing like 500 like whatever the currency
I forgot what the currency's called, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it's like everything gets really really expensive fast if you're not good at the game. Rude, like super fast.
It's kind of rough.
So and when I say Metroidvania, I mean in the sense of like it's a 2D action adventure type game where you have to explore, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't take everything from Metroidvania, obviously, but yeah. I don't know.
I wonder.
I'll have to watch like a play or something. It's, like, it's interesting. I like the backstory is very interesting to me. That stuff, and I did well on that. But like, man, I just can't get through it myself.
I was gonna say, I wonder if Ori would have been better for you. Like, I wonder if you would like Ori.
Would have been definitely better. Yeah. I've watched somebody play a lot of Ori, and I was like, yeah, this.
I think you would like Ori, because Ori, it's not as hard. It's challenging, but it's not as challenging as Hollow Knight. And there's none of that losing your souls type thing.
Yeah. I can't get into 2D games like that, though. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
It's just not your thing, I guess.
I like seeing, as much as like the game, like 2D games can be like beautiful visually, like all that sprawling backgrounds. Like you can get depth in there. It's missing the kind of depth that I like in a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like actually, there was a time when I was really into playing certain 2D Metroidvania style or not, but usually that like Mega Man X games. I love Castlevania. As it is, like even before Symphony of the Night, because they started Metroidvania map style and the crazy navigation, everything. But like even beforehand, like I would be very drawn into that, mostly just because of the music, the way the game felt, and how special it was as like a Dracula kind of Spawn series. And I thought all those things like made it really special. But like these various franchises that are kind of another version of that, like I feel like there's not that special allure there, but it's also the fact that I'm not really looking to get into new versions of those games. I kind of just experienced them when I was younger because I was younger, you know? And they were interesting for a time, but exploring new ones now for me is I'm like very reluctant to do that. So
yeah, I feel that.
Got you. Yeah. I grew up playing like Metroid and Castlevania, so it's like, so it makes sense for me. It's like, oh, Metroidvania. I don't even think I knew they were called that until I was like a freaking adult. Yeah.
Metroidvania didn't come around until like what? Like what would you say? Like maybe like 5 years?
You mean the term? Oh, maybe 10 years? I don't know. But like, yeah, growing up, I mean, nobody said that really.
But yeah, so it's a 2D platforming thing. I don't know.
Metroidvanias are weird for me because like the more I'm thinking about it right now, it's like I like them a lot. I don't love them though. Like I love specific ones, but I'm not like, oh, that's a new Metroidvania, I have to play it. It's like I'm not like that. Right? It's not like.
Is there people? Chat. Are there people out there though? Like, are there people out there who like get hyped about Metroidvania games? Like we get hyped about art. I mean,
yeah, I guess definitely. Like, of course. Like, there's an entire like sub franchise of that same game, Symphony of the Night, that really spawned, that like started Metroidvania. Honestly, all of the portable versions, DS versions, 3DS, everything, PSP even, they would have versions of Castlevania that are purely like made for being in the style of Metroidvania, of having of following Symphony of the Night as an example. They would all become kind of versions of that game, you know. So that was like its own pioneer. But yeah, now there's all sorts of indie games being made in the same format. So people are definitely into that. Like I have a couple of close friends that they're kind of into that Shovel Knight, Hollow Knight, kind of new indie 2D platforming Metroidvania games, and they really do look after them. So
right, yeah, Shovel Knight definitely made them big again. I feel like Shovel Knight, and there's bunch of different, even Ori and games like that, just kind of like probably introducing new people to it, like, oh, I want to play more of these. But for me, yeah, when I really think about it, it's like it's not the genre that really makes me want to play them. It's like the aesthetics and like the characters and the themes and the like. Ori is just beautiful. I saw Ori and it's the moment I saw it, I'm like, I gotta play that because of the art style and everything, the music and all that. So yeah, it's interesting because like when compared to like Souls, like if I see a game is Souls-like, I'm like interested because that's the genre. Yeah.
I said about you, you'd kind of look for games that have that difficult style and very similar kind of just mechanics of needing to parry, knowing what weapons work for you.
Right.
Some people are super amused by that. Like Demon Souls was like the first game that I really tried from the franchise. So I'm like brand new. Demon Souls remake, I mean, on PS5. And I found myself really, I feel like I'm just being a super downer about all these games today, but
no, you're good.
Yeah, no, I just feel like the challenge is like okay, and like the losing your souls, like that's like not bad, that's fine. But like my problem with it was that previous games that I played that were kind of hack and slash, very combat focused, very timing focused, that I played kind of put me into this mode of not really being as open to the slower kind of. I mean, I don't want to say
methodical. Like you don't like the methodical part of it, maybe.
I love the methodical part of it, but what I don't like is just how the movement feels. I don't feel like how clunky you are. I don't like that if you want to try to fight a new type of enemy and you're not at like a certain level, then you can't really experiment with that without dying and wasting a bunch of time. I want to like, be able to like fight an enemy and like practice against the enemy and in general just like move better. But I guess I'm just spoiled by like Devil May Cry and Onimusha and series that I could really get more expressive with how I play it. I feel like Dark Souls doesn't let me do that at all. So
games have so much more movement for sure.
Char, you think she should play Neo?
I do want to play that game.
That might be the one because that is compared to Onimusha. It is.
It's true.
It's got inspiration.
And you have to. I mean, there's always going to be like the weight aspect of the game. With I think Demon Souls has it. Does Demon Souls have it?
What do you mean the weight maintenance?
Weight, then you're fat rolling and shit.
But Neo doesn't do that.
Neo does that. It has a weight system. You have to.
I remember being light as heck. Maybe I just never. I don't know.
Well, okay. Anyways, there is a weight system in
Maybe you're right. My memory's hazy.
Connected to your strength. Wow, it's been a while. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah,
yeah, if
true.
you go overweight, basically you're gonna be fat rolling, but you can be really, really quick in that game. You just be glass cannon and it.
Yeah, you got to just do like a certain build. Yeah, but that might be the one. Like when you're expressing about the what's it called, like the speed and all that, and yeah, that would be the one I'd say. Well,
it's definitely faster.
Yeah, I definitely want to play that for sure. And I also really like how that's another franchise that actually builds on the depictions of various historical feudal Japanese characters. That I really love that. Like I'm actually, my Onimusha video that I'm working on is all about that. It's about how these historical figures are twisted in their own games. Some of them are made into like really kind of funny, silly characters, like Hideyoshi. There's also characters like Magoichi Saika. There's characters like Nobunaga. So they all have their own kind of versions of themselves, and some of them are like more demonized for the sake of like, because it has that shock value to it. You're gonna bring back a historical figure and make them seem a certain way. And I haven't played Nayo, but I've seen Magoichi, Saika Magoichi in that game, and he looks incredible. He looks so mysterious and like cool. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of those characters in that game for sure.
I need a video of like how many Nobunagas there are in gaming.
There's so many, right? And anime too.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
What's the anime I'm thinking? Sengoku Basara has like
King?
another. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy that you mentioned that, because
there's literally so many.
He is the character that I was focusing on for the video. And that anime has like some really cool connections back to his kind of framing. He would kill his rivals' skulls, or he would kill his rivals on the battlefield, and he would take their skulls and he would have them made into cups, like skull cups, and kind of make like grills out of them, and he would drink out of them and celebrate with them. And that was like one of his kind of grisly celebration methods. Yeah.
That'd be cool if you could merge like your Onimusha stuff and then like you go into like Neo somehow or some way, like the folklore and all that. That I'd be with it.
Yeah,
I'd be clicking that quick.
That's like, because if you focus on these characters and their depictions across the games, it's like that's an opportunity to talk about those too. Because I'm also talking a little bit about Samurai Warriors. Nobunaga is in that game series. There's actually another anime called Demon King Nobunaga. There's just so many. But I'm mostly referencing the ones that I experienced him through, which are like that anime, Samurai Warriors 2, and Onimusha. But Nayo has a lot of these characters, so yeah.
Got you, yeah. And then Kenny in the chat did confirm Neo does have a weight system. I was thinking more yeah, it does. I guess I wasn't thinking about the armor itself, because you know how some's like too heavy. It's got like the yellow numbers, and I feel like I don't remember that too well because I was so basic. Like I had the same freaking build like the whole time. Same armor and all that junk. But anyways, anything else you wanted to say, Shar, about the Animal Crossing or anything else? we still gotta talk, dude. We still gotta mention this Xbox thing. But yeah, continue if you want.
No, I'm good. I've been playing and I'm getting all the things.
The moral of the story is Shar is gonna put Hollow Knight in the bushes and continue with Animal Crossing.
I've got fucking RPGs to play, man. There's too many RPGs. I can't be out here playing Hollow Knight, man.
Hollow Knight, it's a rough game. It's rough.
It's a rough game. I don't need that when I could be leveling up in my other shit. You know what I mean?
True. And it is long too. But yeah, Xbox. We do got to talk about this because it's so important. It's Xbox. So a bunch of craziness. We obviously can't spend too much time on it because we'll be here all night. But when was it? Yesterday, early yesterday morning, right? This was all within 24 hours. I wake up, right? I check Twitter. And it says, oh, guess what, guys? We're changing our pricing on Xbox Live. They were going from $60 to $120 for the year. And I think this was for newcomers, new people who come. So if you... Right. No, it's fine. So if you, I guess, already have it, you're kind of, I guess, forced to stay on it, because if once you get off and come back later, let's say you take it, you unsubscribe, you come back a year later, you're going to spend 120. So huge, because this isn't just it wasn't some gradual increase. Like, oh, we're going to do $10, $5. Like, this was double. All right. And it said $60 for 6 months, 120 for a year. So of course everyone's like, what? This is crazy. It doesn't just justify the price, because gold is trash now, which it arguably has been. Like, their quote unquote free games, they've been trash for a while. Then it's funny too, because this coming month in February, they were going to have Gears 5 in there, which everyone was like, oh, wow, that's a good game, right? It's a full $60 game in there, but we get it for free. Then like a two couple days later, it's like, oh, they're increasing the price. So it's like funny. They finally get a good game in there, and then now they get that news. So of course everybody was outraged. I'm sure you guys saw on Twitter and everything. People were making videos. People were tweeting. I was tweeting at Phil Spencer. I was telling him, listen, you gotta, what's going on over there? And
Listen, Phil.
Listen, Uncle Phil, God damn it. And then on top of it, what made it worse is that, I don't know if you guys knew this, but with Xbox Live and free to play games, so like Fortnite, Apex Legends, games like that, those aren't free to play, because you have to have Xbox Live to play them. Whereas with PlayStation, Nintendo, you don't. You can play them for free, play with your friends and all that. So that's always been that's been a monkey on Xbox's back for a while now. So it made it even worse. It's like, dude, so you're gonna have kids and their parents paying $120 to play Fortnite, where you could play it free on PC or PlayStation. So big deal, right? Everybody raises hell. And then not even 24 hours later, Uncle Phil and them are like, listen, we messed up. We're not changing it. We're sorry. So I don't know. I know, Shar, you don't care about Xbox. You don't play on Xbox. But Beggy, I don't know. How do you feel about all this? Like, do you think they should they get a pat on the back for this? Because the argument is, well, they should have never done it in the first place. We're not going to give them a pat on the back. This was stupid. They take it back. Now we're supposed to praise them. So I don't know. What do you think about all this?
I probably feel really similar to Shar, honestly. Like, I really don't. I don't care, but I don't play an Xbox, nor do I like really. Play online. But like, I was also thinking, because you were saying that on PlayStation and Nintendo it's like free, but like I think Nintendo technically has that like really stupid like small fee, like $20 or something. Yeah. But it's like not a big deal, obviously. But yeah. Anyway, I think the only time I've had an experience with like Xbox Live like at all even was my brother used to play Halo, and he actually was like really big on that for a while. But like, I never quite understood the dynamic between free PSN and like not free Xbox Live. So like, is it better? Like, is there a reason why they've basically gotten away with charging money for this online service, whereas other platforms, like you said, don't really have that? Is it better?
I don't know if I can answer that question, because I mean, I haven't had Live in years. I think I'm going on like 3 years of not having Xbox Live. But when I did on like 360, back then, I remember the consensus was like better servers, the games run better, Call of Duty, they got they got third-party deals with Call of Duty and things like that. So we got the maps first, we got this first. It was like
an upgrade.
From what I remember. Right. From what I remember in the community and like who I talked to, we didn't really complain that much, because we felt like Xbox was better in that way. But then PlayStation, they charge now for a Live or for PSN. Yeah, they charge now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they used to be free though. You're right. Like PS3, it was free.
Yeah. It used to be free. And then starting from PS4, it was. Is this the same? It used to be.
I think it was 50. Then they pushed it. Yeah.
I think it's 60. It might be 60 now. I don't remember.
I think they're the same from what I know.
60 for and then you do get all those like free games. And that's
you get the quote unquote free, And Xbox back then, I remember they were like praised for that. Like, oh, you get the what would they call it? This Xbox Arcade. I don't know if they got arcade, but they would get better like gold games. It was like, oh, they're offering Fable, they're offering this, oh, it's free, and it was. I remember it being praised, but then unfortunately PlayStation's like rubbing their hands. Ooh, so they got it to work. Now we're gonna charge. So they started charging, and then here comes Nintendo so many years later because they're so damn late all the time. We're charging now, but it's cheaper for Nintendo.
Because it's utter trash.
Yeah, right? They got no messaging, no achievements. I mean, we can be on that all day. Freaking Nintendo. That's even $20. I think it's too much for them. But at least they have like a family plan, because some people were saying like, man, Xbox, like you don't even have a family plan no more. You're gonna charge $120 for one person? That's wild.
Actually, I got my friend to get me on his family plan on Switch, so I don't even pay for my
Hey, there you go. I was on a plan. I was on a plan for a minute, and then I think they like took it away from me. It was like some random. Yeah, it was like some random supporter. Shout out to them. I'm not mad or nothing like that. Like I was fine with that. Like, oh, they must have took me off. That's cool. No biggie. But yeah, I was on there for like maybe, I don't know, 3 months or something like that.
That's funny. That's fucking funny.
Yeah. So like, what's the so if you're primarily like a PC gamer and you want to play some of the games that are not on PS5, like let's say you have a solid gaming computer and you're playing games that would be on Xbox anyway, is there any real reason then to pay for Xbox Live Gold or like get anything for PC?
No.
Right, there's no reason. So like, it's like if I'm playing these games on PC and it's already free to play them, then it's like a certain demographic of people that use gaming PCs will just be like almost like oblivious to this. Like it doesn't really matter to them. But then on the other hand, people that this is something that is like pretty specific to people that
they're just on console.
Are like just on Xbox, yeah.
Right, and that's what kind of adds salt to the wound. It's been adding salt to the wound all this time, because they're over here having to pay while I'm over here on my PC playing Gears for free.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
I think about that a lot. Like, oh, here I am killing somebody in the game. Like, hey, and they also have to pay yearly. It's like, dude, it's crazy. It's like wild, So yeah, it's been PC gamers. They're all against paying online, which of course, I mean, who wouldn't be? But console gamers, I think, because we've just haven't made such the rage about it, they get away with it. It's been a norm for a while, and now Xbox doubles the price, and then they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to. We'll go back to $60. We're still going to charge you guys $60 a year. Pat us on the back because, oh, we're sorry. And it's like, dude, they shouldn't be paying at all for online. Now, like, go ahead.
Yeah, that's so interesting, just because in terms of the like consoles and like how companies make profit off of consoles, they try to like lock you into their system to buy controllers and accessories and games like ahead of like down the line is how they make all their money back. This is like just part of that equation, basically. It's basically just they do it because it's another avenue to make back the money that they would not really make a whole lot of from consoles. So it's kind of like how they make their profit with games and accessories is just like online is like another cost.
Right.
And that's why it's like allowed to kind of exist. And because, it's their service. So like if they want to charge for online, they can, because you need online to do like anything multiplayer, so.
Yeah. They get away with it. Yeah. Because what are you going to do? Not play online? You got to, I mean, if you only have an Xbox, it's like, you want to play Fortnite, you want to play these games with your friends. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to stand your ground? Because if you do, you're not going to be able to play. So it's like, then they're forced to do it, obviously. But
I would even be fine with a compromise, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be fine with if like tomorrow, PlayStation was like, okay, so the PS Plus, with all the free games and stuff, is still gonna be full price, and I'd be like, all right, bet. And then they had like a service without the free games that was still like just the online, but it was like $20 or something, Like I'd totally even be fine with that.
Like a tier thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Everybody, it should be free, but that's just not how it's gonna be. But like, I would be fine with like two different plans. You know what I mean? Because like the PS Plus games they're free, but only as long as you have PS Plus. If you don't have PS Plus, you let that lapse, you don't get those games anymore. And for some people, that's like not a big deal. They don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah,
So like
that's true.
those people are like, they're just like, oh, well, I just need the online for like whatever. And
Yeah,
then,
certain games, right?
Yeah, and like trophies and all that, like cloud save stuff could just be like the smaller package, but like and then the game make the games like the more expensive package or something.
Yeah,
Like,
I've always thought that, like, yeah, why don't you just, for people who strictly just only want to play online, give them a different tier. Like, what if they don't care about those gold games and all these indies that come out? And they don't want to play those games. They just want to play their Call of Duty.
Patreon up in here, Sony. Get a Patreon going where the
Patreon
can get the different
Patreon tiers. Yeah, so that's like that's the rage, because people are like, dude, gold's not even good anymore, and I don't want that other junk. And same thing with Game Pass. Some people don't want Game Pass because the theory was that they're raising this price, or they were, because they're not doing it anymore, but they're raising this price to force you to go into Game Pass. To tunnel you in, like, oh, we're gonna make it so expensive so you come over here, kind of thing. And I don't know if that's like what they were doing, but that's what people were thinking. Like, oh, is this just a ploy to get us to Game Pass? Because I don't want Game Pass. I just want to play online. Like, people just really only want to play their Call of Duty or whatever. And yeah, I always thought that, like, either they need to merge it with Game Pass or just have, like, listen, you want to play online, $10, $20. Nothing more. You know, at the very least, it should be free, but yeah, like, at the very least, if I only want to play online, why not just have a tier for that? So,
yeah.
But it's greed. You already know.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's been kind of crazy, those Xbox execs and stuff. They were up late last night, because I remember I was playing Gears with the homies, and right around 9 o'clock Pacific time, around there, like, hey, they backtracked. It's not happening after all. I'm like, damn, it's 9 o'clock in Friday night. These guys are up late. Like, they're like, they were, you know, maybe, you know, stressed out. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe it was miscommunication between Microsoft and Xbox, because the Xbox division, they got their own set of like money that they use. They got their own heads and all of that. And then maybe Microsoft wanted to do it and they didn't. Like, there's a bunch of theories with that, but at the end of the day, these guys they're just greedy. They don't care about us.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly like where it comes from, but when something costs that much for Xbox Live Gold and they've just been doing it for years, then it's just a standard. You know, people are used to it. They're like, they just expect to pay that money. So
yeah,
it's a standard that they built for a while now. So.
And I bet you a lot of them don't even know it's free on PC, like, because they don't think about PC. They don't care.
Right,
it's not even in their mind. So they don't even realize they're getting, like, you know, the worst of it. So it's crazy.
Yeah, because that's what limiting to a console, you know, kind of does. It's like all the publishers are delivered to you online through that console service and nothing else.
Right. So the moral, I guess, is build a PC. Get a PC, guys.
Honestly.
I mean,
in the long run, you definitely save money because you're not spending it on that. The games are cheaper. I mean, that's a whole conversation, but this is one pro to building a PC for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honestly, for me, it's like I realize I know all these consoles are trying to implement these features to make sharing more easy and accessible to people if they want to like create content, take clips to put on Twitter or something, you know. But what I realize is that I feel weird doing that and publishing it at all if I'm not just like at my computer. Like I feel like as a creator, doing anything is going to involve not a console, which is just like the way that I've kind of been.
Right.
The way that I learned to make content is like always using my computer and like kind of footage from the PC, everything like that. So kind of creating content or like maybe even uploading videos or editing them with like PS4s like or PS5s like software and all that kind of stuff. I really am curious about the statistics of like how many people that are creators actually like using that stuff, you know. I feel like that's like a really huge reason, in my opinion, to get into PC and like building a PC, to like just have a better control, like a better handle of everything, because that's just the way I feel. I almost feel like when I'm in the UI design of like a game console, I feel like I'm limited in what I'm doing.
Right.
I feel like I can't do everything that I want the way that I want to, because I want to do very specific things. Like if I want to record a certain segment of gameplay exactly like the way that I want it to, and I want to share it the way that I want it to, and all that kind of stuff, then doing all that while you're on the console just is not worth it to me
Yeah,
at all.
because you can do it. I've done it before with like PlayStation. I've, taken pictures and this little clip because I'm not, I don't feel like going through my PC. It's rare, but sometimes it's like it's convenient because you just press the button and then clip it, throw it up. But there's no you're on their quality. You're not on your PC to like render it the way you want or add text or fade in, fade out. Like you can't be doing all that, all the little extras and all of that. So yeah, I feel you because I was gonna say that too. Like yeah, as a content creator, I think we've talked about this, Shar, where it's like it's easier to be on PC because we need it for what we're doing here and streaming and stuff. So it's very natural and probably easy for us to say build a PC because we are content creators and we know that it just works for so many things besides gaming. So it's like a cherry on top to game on it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So the console only ones who just don't even create content and stuff, they might be listening to us like it's a foreign language. Like, I like my console. I don't need all that. I don't need a PC. It seems like overwhelming maybe. But for us, I think it's easier to say, but it doesn't make it wrong. We are right. It's a PC, I think what it is like they just got to see it. They just got to see how easy it is and then they'll come around. But to get there, it's like they might not be able to. And I understand, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that for me, like I realized that once I have an access to games that I played on console on PC, once I have those same games on PC, I'm not going to want to touch them on console at all anymore.
Yeah.
Is like my experience. Like I realized that if I can play this on PC, even through like emulation, some other kind of process, then that's like what I'm going to do. I'm not going to really want to play it on console anymore, just because it doesn't. I don't know. It's usually uglier on console, and it also usually doesn't run as well. And I also can't like talk to people the way that I would want to while I'm playing or anything like that. So, which again is like a creator thing. So
it definitely is. I think once you get used to specific things like Discord, for example, I know you could have on your phone and all that, but it's just such the standard now. I play the game, I'm in Discord. When people are like, hey, I don't have Discord, can we get in the PSN chat? I'm like, damn. But sometimes they just don't have their computer nearby or something like that, right? And I'm like streaming or something. I'm like, really? Like, you gonna do this to me while I'm streaming? Like, because it's a different way of me bringing in their voice and stuff through OBS and all that. So I gotta like switch settings around. It's more of a inconvenience. You would think it'd be more convenient, but it's not. Now that I'm a content creator, it's like, no, the party chats and all that, that's not convenient no more. It's really not. Discord just eliminated that for good. Honestly, really.
Yes, it did. Like even just the idea of joining any console's voice chat is like really just ridiculous and stupid and ugly to me now because of Discord. It's like just so like it's so unappealing because of what Discord has done.
Right. Yeah, they just did it better. It did it way better. But Shar, I remember there was a time you had me in PSN chat because of your setup or whatever. You're like, oh, I gotta do PSN chat. Don't lie.
Wow, that was
I'm putting you on the spot.
So long ago.
It doesn't feel...
okay, but like, consider, right? I just moved to Japan and didn't have my PC.
No excuses.
Like, what up? Wow.
No, that's true. That is true. But I do remember that. I do remember.
Yeah,
that.
no, I was. There was a time I was using the TV for either console or my PC. I couldn't switch between the two because I didn't have any other screens. Now I've got like a 2-monitor screen set up with my TV next to me, so it's not even a question anymore. But
yeah, it's funny though. Like Discord is just such the standard now. Like this happened recently. I forget. I don't want to throw their name out there, but somebody was like, "Oh, I don't have Discord, and can we do PSN chat?" And I was like, sure, because I want to play with you. Yeah, but it is what it is. It standards change and stuff. So crazy.
Dave, don't give me that shit, man. Don't.
What'd he say?
He's like, speaking of needing a PC, Char.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Char could use some upgrades. So you guys go hit up twitch.tv.
Oh my God.
Drin, you change your name over there.
You don't even remember. Oh my God.
Drin underscore son. And go hit up that bit button.
My God. Okay, no, I was literally chatting today, and we're looking at PC parts, and I like masked it out, and it was a lot. It scared the shit out of me. But yeah, whatever. I've got I don't like doing it, but I've got a thing up on the stream for whatever. You go see a stream. You'll see. Anyway.
I'm waiting for the day where Char is real loud about like, support me, guys. I'm doing big things out there. Come through.
No, it'll never happen.
Cause you're very modest and very quiet about your achievements and what you do, and like.
Okay, so like, you know how you can do like, what is it on Streamlabs? You've got like the donation like goal or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt weird even putting that up on the screen on my channel yesterday. I was like, ew, this is.
No, I feel like I relate to that like a lot. Like the time, like when I was a streamer, like when I consistently streamed, I had this sort of issue adjusting to the culture of like what is acceptable to put up is like what is a donation goal, what is a sub goal, like what is acceptable, what do I feel good about doing.
Mine's outrageous, I'll tell you.
It was still fuzzy. Like even like when I had streamed for like a while, it still felt like I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me immediately. It took like months to kind of digest that like people just regularly do this.
I know.
And it's just that's just how I feel. It was like a online culture, not a culture shock, but it was just a new culture I hadn't experienced. And I realized like that was always something I felt a certain way about for my own stream, not so much for like other streams, but just in general, like
No, I feel you guys. I just give Char a hard time a little bit, but I do relate on some level, because it's like you don't want to look like you're like begging or like anything like that.
I don't want to look like I need it, because I don't.
Right,
really,
or
it's there if people want to. It's weird, like and I've been on that side. I've been on the side of the. I'm like, oh, I'll help out with that or whatever, and give like $20, and it's like nothing. And then people do that to me, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here! What are you doing with your money? Like, stop it right now. And people have seen me do that on stream, but like, I still can't get. I can't even do it. Like, I literally, guys, there's a new video on my YouTube, just shameless plug right now. But there's literally a part in that video where this person is giving me money in a video game, and I'm freaking out about it. Like, what? Literally, like, people being generous to me in a game, and I literally can't take it. My brain broke. Like, I don't get it. Why am I like this, man?
I understand. I still get a little weird too sometimes, because it's, I don't know, because it's money and they're choosing to give it to you. And then the thing is too, like when it comes to things I'm doing with like my content, sometimes people will come to me like, hey, Erica, how come you don't put a sub goal or a donation goal, or why don't you do a Patreon? Like when I first made a Patreon, it took me a while, because I was like, I don't know, it's just it's a weird thing, because it's like, I don't know, but to them, it's like nothing. Well, why not, Erica? Why not do it? What's the problem? Like, because they really genuinely like want you to succeed and like have support. So it's a trip. It's like trying to learn in that area. It's a trip. Definitely.
Even the like podcast, man, with the chats and shit.
The super chats.
The super chats too. Yeah. I think, you know what, honestly, and this isn't to like down anyone's super chats, because we really appreciate them. I really do. But I think because YouTube like kind of like takes a cut, I'm like, well, it's not, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel as much as like a straight up donation or straight up like, here's money, here, buy something. Because I've had like, there's people in the chat, like J-Got, shout out to J-Got. He's in the chat and he's like, hey, are you going to get a new GPU? I'm going to help. And I'm like, whoa, dude, crazy. And even like Dave and other friends, I've been like, Erica, you going to get this? Let's do it. Let's all pitch in. And it's like, whoa, because that's super, super generous. And it's like, yeah, you're just like, it's weird. It's like you're happy. You're like, this is awesome. This is cool. But then you're kind of like at the same time, like hesitant and like, it's weird.
I know what it is. What? It's because people being nice on the internet is just no thing.
It's so rare. Like, is it because most people are a-holes? So it's like,
I mean, that's like okay, maybe it's like we grew up with the internet, right? Kind of. I grew up with the internet in like the sense that like the internet wasn't really a thing when I was a kid, and then I grew up, and then it was like a thing, and then it wasn't really like, I don't know. It's
that's
really
why I wasn't ready for it, honestly.
Yeah.
And then like you had to be like careful and shit, right? You had to be like, oh man, I don't want to like get in trouble like online, and like, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It was just, you were very careful about who you interacted with online and like what you did online, and it's all of that. So like I feel very I don't feel like I'm really like out there in the internet. Does that make sense? So like I'm always like looking for ways to like protect myself online, even though it's like gotten less.
Like, you're just private, I guess.
Yeah, and then like when that attention gets like turned on me, whether it's like literally just people in my chat or like people like giving me money, I'm like, oh my god, I'm not anonymous anymore. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It is a little different. It changes the dynamic.
It's weird. Yeah. And then you have this like predisposition to like just think that everybody on the internet is an asshole until they prove otherwise. That's just me though.
I think that might be part of it too. And like, I don't know, for me growing up, like I didn't get a lot of things like handed to me. So I mean, maybe it's like a mixture of things, like how we grow up and how we're like used to taking things from people. So like when they start to just give, you're like, it's a trip. But Shar,
give back, but like I give back with the content I make, but then I don't feel like I make good enough content. That's like a thing, and then I'm like, this is such a conundrum for my brain right now, because like, wait, you actually like the shit I'm doing? Wait, that doesn't make sense, because like I don't think I'm doing it. It's that whole cycle. You get caught in.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, Patreon, I feel like Patreon feels pretty different from live donations and subs or like whatever, or becoming a member or anything, because it just feels it is kind of like, it's like a monthly, usually like a monthly payment, and the cut is like huge for you. Like Patreon takes like less than pretty much any other creator.
Like you're being sponsored or something, right? Like, is that how it feels, kind of?
Yeah, it does, because it feels like they're paying money regularly, like in advance, for content that they know that they have faith in you to create and that they'll like it, instead of kind of just them being there and kind of in that moment or in that stream, whatever is going on, they'll want to contribute to something, and they will, instead of something that they kind of want to regularly support. And it's just a different dynamic for me, and I don't know why. I don't know exactly why, but Patreon makes me feel less
like
I don't know, like there's less pressure on me. Yeah,
that does make kind of sense, because like, when you're in the middle of streaming, right, you're just doing your thing, you're playing games, whatever, you're not really thinking much of it. The content, you are creating content, but you don't think of it like that because you're just playing games. So
literally don't.
You see the bits come through or the sub, and you're like, okay, so they're liking me at this very moment, and they felt the want to like support me right now. It's different.
Yeah. And some people will want to regularly support, and they'll want to like come back again and again, and that's just how they learn to support your channel, because it really does come down to the platform that you're on, the options that you give your viewers to actually do that, because the ones that are going to want to do that are going to be confined to what you have set up. So if you don't have a Patreon, they're going to have to do a donation on your live stream, or they're going to have to do super chat, something like that, or gift a sub or something. So
true. Yep. Shar, read them super chats, since they're kind of to you.
Okay. Wait, how? There's only 3, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Keenan says, all of you from Audible, Erica, Merc, and Shar, just take my money. Damn it, Keenan. Little Dave says, shut up and take my money. Shar, shut up. Shut up, you. And Hustle says, y'all deserve my money. Shout out to Beggy.
Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate the super chats. You guys are awesome. Yeah, and I hope no listener takes it as like we don't want the support. It makes us feel funny to the point where it's like, stop, for real. It's just, no, it's more of like flattering, and sometimes you're just like, you don't know how to respond kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so good conversations, man. I love talking about content creating. You guys know that already. I can go on and on. Beggy, it was awesome. Awesome talking to you and catching up and hearing all the Resident Evil stuff. Like, I seriously learned a lot today. Learned a lot. So if you want to now, go ahead and plug all your stuff. Let people know where they can find you, your YouTube and all that. Let them know.
Yeah, it was super interesting today. I like having conversations about like content creation itself, how the meta is changing. I like listen to that kind of stuff like pretty often, and I find it to be like some of my favorite content is like how different platforms are themselves changing, like how Twitch is changing, how YouTube meta is changing, like all that kind of stuff. That's like really cool. But yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. You can basically, my tag is Beggybeggbegg everywhere, the way that Wick John just spelled in chat. Yeah, primarily on Residents of Evil and my personal channel on YouTube, and then I'll also tweet out little bits on Twitter. And that's most of where I create content. So
awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me tonight.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Anytime. You'll be back, I'm sure, at some point. But I've got to check in, see where you're at. Yeah, and I'll put Beggybeggs links and stuff in the description, or at least in the chat. It'll be down there somewhere. So if you're watching this later, or on the other platforms, you know, Anchor, iTunes, all that stuff, it'll be in the description. So yeah, shout out to Beggy and the people that came through to support you, Beggy. I appreciate all the new faces. Char, let everyone know what's up, where they cannot donate to you. Tell them what's up.
Definitely do not go to my Twitter. It's Drin_sound, and go click on some links below the stream there. Don't do that. Don't ever. Nah. Yeah, that's pretty much where I got all my stuff. I gotta make a link tree, man. I was looking at that stuff the other day. I was like, damn, I gotta make a link tree.
A link tree.
Those are interesting. I've seen those.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to teach me that. I don't know what the hell that is.
I'm gonna have to look it up. So, you know, that's fine.
If you catch Char streaming Hollow Knight, go lend your support. Cheer.
No, I literally don't want to play it. I literally don't. Get out of here.
Oh, man, I guess it's over. It's in the bushes. Man.
The end of a week.
Crazy. But yeah, and I'm Erica. Erica's for the win. You guys find me pretty much everywhere by that name. I was yesterday actually, I was a guest on Crossfire with Mooch. So if you want to catch me over there, go to Mooch's channel. Just type in Mooch78. I think you'll find it through there. And then I'm on Twitter, of course. You can see links over there as well. That's it, you guys. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We appreciate you, and we will catch you in a couple of weeks. All right? Take it easy. Take care. Stay healthy. Catch you guys later. Bye.